Elaborate Studios in Lynbrook. This is SportsBash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. SportsBash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. SportsBash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention SportsBash and get that free, absolutely delicious dessert with your meal. By Coaches Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. And stay tuned later in the show to find out about the Coaches Collectibles item of the day. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of SportsBash Media. We'll tell you a little bit more about the Marty Lyons Foundation bowling event coming up a little bit later on in the show. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Well, hi again, everyone, and a great Tuesday afternoon to everybody. And if you're tuning in, this is indeed Peter Schwartz, and this is SportsBash. And if you'll notice, we're in different surroundings on this Tuesday. That is because there's some construction work going on at our normal home, which is at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. So some work is going on there. The studios are closed for a couple of days. So it's like a reunion day for us here on the show today, because we are here at the beautiful Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook. And it was so great to reconnect again the last couple of days. You'll remember the name Chris Gannon when we used to do the show at LI News Radio back in the day, like last year, at MacArthur Airport. Chris was our video and internet coordinator, and he made sure that our little radio show got on internet also with video. So when we found out yesterday that there was going to be some trouble getting the show on the air today at Governor's, I was talking to Vinny Tickets, obviously from TicketBash.com, and we agreed that the first person we should call is Chris, and we thank Chris and everybody here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook for their hospitality and for welcoming us in at the last minute. And you'll see as the show goes on, not much will be different than what you would normally see at Governor's Comedy Club. But we are using the KISS theory today. And if you remember learning KISS in school, keep it simple, stupid. So Chris has been great, doing a lot of work over the last 24 hours or so, having the studio ready to go for us. And we couldn't be more excited and happy to be back with Chris today. And we'll see. You never know how these things work out. Maybe we'll be with him again on Friday, because as you'll find out in a little bit, we're not doing a show on Thursday. We're doing a show on Friday, but I'll get to that in a little bit. As for this show, and I'm really excited about this, my guest on the show, and I've been thinking about getting this guy on the program for quite some time. Michael Gargiulo from Channel 4 is going to join us at around 1:20 on the show. We're going to talk soccer, and Michael and I have the shared love of soccer, specifically the Cosmos. We both go back all the way to the original days of the Cosmos at Giant Stadium, watching Pelé and Canalia and Beckenbauer and Alberto and all those guys. And now the World Cup is coming to MetLife Stadium next year. So it's a good chance for me and Mike to get together, talk a little soccer, what's going on locally in soccer. Michael just covered the Club World Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup that took place around the country, and some games at MetLife Stadium, including the championship. So we'll catch up. It's great. I got a chance to meet Michael for the first time last year at a Red Bulls game. They invited a bunch of media people to come to a game, and we became like Twitter buddies a few years ago. We met for the first time at a Red Bulls game last year. So I'm looking forward to talking to Mike in about 15 minutes time to talk a little soccer. So looking forward to that. We're also going to have later on in the show the Sport Media Poll Question of the Day. We'll have the Coaches Collectibles item of the week, and we're going to tell you about our show later this week. Now, again, we're not doing a show on Thursday. I'm going to be going to Jets training camp on Thursday, so looking forward to that. So we moved the show from Thursday to Friday this week, and then on Friday I'll tell you we have a great Jets guest coming up on the show on Friday. I'll tell you about that later on in the show. But until I welcome in Michael in about 15 minutes, a chance to talk about a number of things that are going on. And unfortunately, we won't be able to take any phone calls on the show today. So we'll get back to your phone calls on Friday's show. But obviously, if you have any messages you want to pass along, you can always send me a tweet on X/Twitter at Schwartz Sports. You can send me a private message on my Instagram, which is Peter Schwartz Sports. So that would be a great way to interact with the show while we are here at our little home away from home at Collaborate Studios. It's obviously a busy week for baseball, for the Mets and the Yankees. And really, the Yankees are the team right now. They really have to get back on track because, again, another loss last night. They got off the schneid Sunday against the Phillies, finally won that game. And then last night dropped the opener against Tampa Bay. But the Yankees are in deep trouble right now. And they've made a couple of moves. They brought in Ryan McMahon. And I went with my family to the game on Saturday. And for what they gave up to get Ryan McMahon to upgrade third base like that is incredible. He'll hit a little bit for him. He did have a couple of hits in Sunday's game, including a 2-run double. But you're going to get great defense from him. And they brought in former Met Ahmed Rosario to help out as well. And you know that the Yankees and Brian Cashman, the general manager, they're going to try and make some moves this week. Look, they're 6.5 games out of first place in the American League East. I don't know if they have enough in them to try and catch the Blue Jays. They can't beat the Blue Jays, so how are they going to catch them? And I don't even know how many games they have left with Toronto. But I think right now the Yankees have to focus on getting better, securing one of those wild card spots, and just trying to get back on track and get things together pitching-wise so that maybe they can catch some lightning in a bottle and make a run in the postseason as a wild card. Because I think right now, as we head towards August, the Yankees may have dug themselves a hole that's a little bit too deep to get out of at this point because Toronto is playing so well. So we'll see what happens with that. But I would imagine before the trading deadline later this week, I would imagine the Yankees try and pick up another starting pitcher. There's all kinds of talk they're going to try to get somebody else for the bullpen because the bullpen has been in shambles for the most part in the last couple of weeks. And I think another position player. So I think the Yankees are going to be busy this week trying to make some moves. I will say this about the Yankees, and maybe I'm just a jaded Yankee fan with all the success. Listen, you have to always try to win. But I guess there comes a point where you just say, is it really worth it? Like if the Yankees were a first place team and a chance in one of the favorites to win the World Series, and you've got a chance to go get a piece that might put you over the top, and it's going to cost you your top prospect, I would say, yeah, go ahead, do it. You know what? You got a chance. You might as well go for it. In all likelihood, this prospect's going to be a couple of years away anyway. So what good is he? In this case, this year, even if the Yankees improve themselves exponentially by the end of the week, are they one of the favorites to win the World Series? I don't think so. I thought so at the beginning of the year. I don't think so now, which is why if I'm the Yankees, there's no way that I would trade Spencer Jones. In fact, I would prefer them call up Spencer Jones and have him play on the Yankees right now while they're struggling. I would actually, and he's been terrific this year, this is the way you create the room for Spencer Jones. You trade Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham probably gets you a little bit something back now because he's having such a good season. And you could put Spencer Jones right into the lineup. I would not move Jason Dominguez. Some people have talked about doing that. He's 22 years old. He's probably playing out of position in left field. He's a butcher in left field. He should not be playing left field. But I would not trade Spencer Jones. I don't care what you're getting back in return. To me, this guy looks like he's going to be something special. They bring him up to AAA, and he continues to hit the cover off the ball. He had 3 home runs in a game a few days ago. So no reason whatsoever to trade Spencer Jones. And look, the Yankees are not really going to, even if they get into the playoffs, I don't think the Yankees are going anywhere. And I would not trade Spencer Jones. Now, the Mets are a different story. The Mets have to go for it right here because they have played so well with this winning streak. And they got Gregory Soto to shore up the bullpen the other day. And if I'm the Mets and I'm David Stearns, I mean, you got to go for it. You have to. You have a chance here to contend for a world championship. And this is where, now David Stearns, although he grew up in New York, a Met fan, he has the background of being a small market guy there in Milwaukee. But now he's got a chance with the Mets to spend some more of Steve Cohen's money. And if I'm the Mets, I would just go all in to try and win a World Series, because you may not get this chance again. The Dodgers are not the same team as last year. I think the Mets are better than the Phillies. So you've got this unbelievable opportunity. And I think the Mets are probably better, if not as good as any of the other teams in the American League. So to me, if you're the Mets, I think you got to roll the dice here at the trading deadline and get some more pieces that put you over the top. The Mets and the Yankees are in two different areas right now. The Yankees are just trying to hang on for dear life and stay in the playoff race. The Mets are a team that has a chance to win the World Series, and they have to go for it. If you're a Mets fan and David Stearns doesn't add a piece or two by the end of this week, I think you have to be really, really annoyed, because this is an opportunity the Mets have been waiting for a long time. The last time they were in the World Series was 2015. They had that shot with Buck Showalter as the manager a couple of years ago and didn't get out of the wild card round. This is a golden opportunity for the Mets to finally break that drought and win their first World Series since 1986. And I would be stunned if the Mets don't add a piece or two this week. And I think they will. I think David Stearns is finally probably getting into the hang of having a big checkbook to use, something he didn't have in Milwaukee. Now he's got Steve Cohen's unbelievable budget, which really isn't a budget at all. It's more of the spending spree. And I have no problem with it. Remember, I mean, this is where, like, people who criticized the Yankees years ago with George Steinbrenner for spending all that money. And it's funny now because the Met fans are always like criticizing the Yankees back in the day about spending money. Now you've got the billionaire owner. Now you've got the guy who will just spend just about anything. And I think he should. There's nothing against the law of going out and going and making trades and signing free agents. Go do it. And the Mets, they went all in on Juan Soto. They've got the huge payroll already, and Steve Cohen said he wants to win a championship. So this is the opportunity this week for him to go give David Stearns those marching orders and go out there and get the job done. And again, I'm one of those Yankee fans that I don't hate the Mets, because that brings up the story of my wife and I when my wife was pregnant with our older son, Bradley, because my wife and I differ on some of our sports teams. So we're both Jet fans, so that was easy, but we had a decision to make on baseball and hockey. So my wife gave me the first draft pick, and Cheryl said to me, you pick whatever you want first outside of the Jets. So I thought about it for a nanosecond. It didn't really take me that long, because I don't hate the Mets. And as I sit on my ESPN radio program back then, I would sooner stick a needle in my eye than watch my child put a Ranger jersey on. So I said, it's easy. I get the Islanders. You get the Mets. We're both Jet fans. That's easy. The kids are color coordinated now. They got their Mets stuff. They got their Islander stuff. Everybody's happy. So I don't hate the Mets. In fact, I would like to, listen, I root for the Yankees until they're out of it. But in 2015, I rooted for the Mets in the World Series. I wanted them to beat the Royals. And of course, back in the day, 86, I was away at college at Buffalo State. I was a big Mets fan in 86 because I did not want the Red Sox winning the World Series. So I was very happy that the Mets won. I get it the other way around. I get it that there are Met fans who just can't stomach the Yankees and won't root for them. I'm not that way as a Yankee fan towards the Mets. There are some Yankee fans who absolutely would not want the Mets to win. And quite frankly, and I don't mean to rub this in the faces of Met fans, the Yankees have done pretty well for me in my lifetime. I mean, I can't really complain. I've seen the Yankees win, let's count it, 77, 78, 96, 98, 99, 2000. 2000 was against the Mets, and 2009. So I've seen 7 Yankee World Championships in my life and a few other trips to the World Series, including last year. So the Yankees have done okay by me. I don't mind it if the Mets win another World Series. In fact, I would like it for my wife and kids if the Mets won. Now, not at the Yankees' expense, of course. So if they were to meet in the World Series, that would be an issue. But again, back to the point, the Mets have to go for this year. They got a shot. That is a special ball club that probably needs another piece or two to put themselves over the top. And I think we could be having a parade down the Canyon of Heroes, and it won't be for the Yankees. It'll be for the Mets. That's my opinion. And I hope that happens. Look, I want the Yankees to get back on track. I want the Yankees to win another championship. I don't think that's happening this year. I think the Mets have the better chance, obviously, to do it. Before we take a break and welcome in Michael Gargiulo, there were a couple other things that I wanted to mention. And it's kind of ironic that we're coming off of the Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Sunday. And you'll notice I'm wearing my brand new Baseball Hall of Fame shirt that I got last week because my son Jared, his baseball team played a tournament at Doubleday Field. And I have to mention, my older son Bradley did yeoman's work. They needed some extra players, so he filled in, did a nice job. But it was Jared's team and Jared's league that went to Doubleday Field to play. We got a chance to do the show last Tuesday. Remember, we did that show live from the Baseball Hall of Fame. And President Josh Rawich was on the program, so we had a great time in Cooperstown. We got a chance to walk around the Hall of Fame. And then we got the sad news yesterday because we had all this positivity coming out of Cooperstown, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, all the Hall of Famers, class of 2025. And then we find out yesterday that legendary Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg played for the Cubs for the most part in his career, also went to the Phillies for a little bit. He passed away yesterday. He was 65 years old. I know he was going through an illness, but it was sad to hear that news just the day after the Baseball Hall of Fame inductions. I loved watching Ryne Sandberg play. Again, not a Met fan, so obviously I didn't mind, watching him do well for the Cubs, in the 80s, and then he went on to the Phillies. But Ryne Sandberg was an exciting player to watch, and deepest condolences go out to him and his family. That was a sad loss, and he was a terrific ball player. And the entire baseball world, the entire sports world, sends their condolences to Ryne Sandberg's family and friends. Speaking of condolences, and this is the last thing I'll talk about before we take a break and welcome in Michael Gargiulo from Channel 4. And if you watch me on any of my platforms, whether it's here on SportsBash, whether it's the other podcasts I've done, the other places I work, including WFAN, especially WFAN, where you open up your mouth the wrong way there and you pay for it for a few years. If you know me, I don't talk a lot of politics on the show, and nothing really from the news angle. But I try to stick to sports, stay in my lane, know what I know. But I wanted to close out the first segment, and I bring this up also because Jets head coach Aaron Glenn brought this up at his press conference today, where he mentioned the shooting in New York City last night that took place in the building that the NFL has their offices in. There's some financial institutions in there as well. And unfortunately, there are 4 families grieving today. And our hearts go out to them. 1 police officer, 3 people were also killed in the shooting in New York City. And it's just sad. I mean, again, when does this nonsense end? Just when does it end? I mean, we have to deal with this just about on a daily basis. And look, and thank God for the New York Police Department, because it probably could have been worse. And that's kind of it's not a silly thing to say. It's kind of an overused thing to say, because there are still 4 families who are grieving today. And when does it stop? How do you explain this to your kids? This goes on all the time. But you know what? You just have to keep, if people want to take shelter and not live their lives, that's not the way to do it either, because then they win. They win. That goes back to 9/11 too, where you don't want to walk around New York City anymore. You don't want to do things because they knocked down our buildings and they hijacked our planes. You have to still live your life. I just wish it would stop. I mean, is there a way to make it stop? I don't know. Maybe there are people who are smarter than me that can figure it out. And if they can figure it out, they should be in higher positions than where they are right now. But it's just sad. And again, deepest condolences to the 4 families who were affected in yesterday's tragedy. It's just sad. There's no other way to say it. And I don't want to say any more about it because I don't want to say something political that I'll regret, because the last time I opened up my mouth politically in a public setting, it wasn't good, so I'm not going to do it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break here on the show. When we come back, I am very much looking forward to talking with Michael Gargiulo from NBC4 New York, wonderful news anchor. You can see him every morning on Today in New York. We're going to talk a little soccer with him when we come back right after this here on SportsBash.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention SportsBash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow, and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Once again, on this Tuesday, we are doing our show today from our home away from home at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook. As I mentioned, there's some construction work going on at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, so we're very, very happy to be back where we did a few shows back in the day here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook. Again, thanks to Chris Gannum and his staff for having us here. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Time to bring in my special guest here on the show, and as I mentioned at the beginning, he's a guy that this is the great thing about social media. You can actually strike up a really friendly, especially professional relationship with people through social media. That's what it was intended for. So a few years ago, I started to chat it up with Michael Gargiulo on Channel 4. I was working the overnights at CBS Sports Radio, always had the news channels on in the morning in the studio, and always admired his work, so started chatting it up. And then we met for the first time. We both love soccer. We met for the first time at a Red Bulls game last year, and I was thinking to myself the other day, I'd like to talk a little soccer. Who would I like to talk a little soccer with than the outstanding co-anchor of the Today in New York on WNBC Channel 4. Let me welcome to the show. I could say he's my friend now. My good friend, Michael Gargiulo. Michael, it's Peter. How are you?
Hey, Peter, how are you, my good friend? It's great to see you. How's everything?
Everything is great. Look at you wearing your Italy soccer.
This is my Italy Chiesa jersey. I wear this because, as always, Italy is in crisis as to whether we're going to make the World Cup. So I figured I might as well do what I can when I can.
So it's a wonderful looking jersey, as are many soccer jerseys around the world. So again, thank you for a few minutes on the show today. One of the big reasons I wanted to have you on, there's so much soccer news to talk about. Let's start with our beloved Cosmos, because you guys have the shared love of growing up with the original Cosmos in the 70s and the 80s. And then I went to go work for Cosmos 2.0 in 2013 when they came back and played at Hofstra. Now the Cosmos are coming back again next year in the USL League One. They're going to play at Hinchliffe Stadium in Paterson, New Jersey. I was at the press conference a couple of weeks ago. I know you're excited about it. So tell me, how excited are you about the return of the Cosmos?
You know, I'm super excited about the return of the Cosmos. I was just thinking today, Peter, Cosmos is a name that evokes a certain era for those of us old enough to remember the original team in the 70s. Matter of fact, Peter, I brought with me my Soccer Bowl 80 mug that I have and my 1978 yearbook. And then this, I got to talk about this.
Well, I have that too. I have that.
You got that, right? So
I have that.
We should tell everybody, at the old Giants Stadium, the record for attendance was held by the Cosmos. They drew, to be exact, 77,691 for Cosmos game. I think it was Tampa Bay they probably beat. So if you were in New York in the 70s and you were a teenager like I was, the Cosmos were the coolest things ever, because until 75, remember, they were playing at then Randall's Island in front of nobody. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Pele comes. They do the press conference at the 21 Club. It's bedlam, but that was the game changer. Now, we've seen Messi come, Beckham come. And with Messi, we've seen some of this where all of a sudden people are going crazy to buy tickets. But I don't think anyone can remember what it was like when Pele came, because there was nothing before him. No. Right? They were playing there at Randall State, like in front of nobody. And then Pele comes, and then all of a sudden between 75 and really 78, the Cosmos explode here in New York City. And if you remember, Peter, they were the hottest thing. My cousin Steve and I, we would take the bus out to then Giant Stadium, and there'd be at least 45,000 people. Mick Jagger would be there. Kissinger would be there.
Muhammad Ali used to go.
Muhammad Ali was there. You know, the problem with the North American Soccer League was the Cosmos were drawing 45,000 people. The Memphis Rogues were drawing like 9,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, the California Surf.
The other teams tried to keep up with the Cosmos. They started spending money, and it wasn't working, and that's why the league went out of business.
And I think, I was thinking about this today, as a matter of fact, I think what happened back then, it tied into New York in the 70s. It was Studio 54. It was, it was the Cosmos. It was just a whole scene. It was a seamless scene together. And they were really a thing. And that was a time when it's not like today. Today, you go to a Red Bulls game, you go to an NYCFC game. I was just in Nashville. My in-laws, I went to see Nashville FC play, the beautiful stadium. It's families. Kids now, many kids, their first sport that they play is soccer. You know, kinder kickers. You do this. It's basically the simplest thing you can do. So kids watching the Premier League on Peacock and NBC on Saturdays. So they're familiar with these teams. In 75, no one saw soccer. No one knew what it was about. You couldn't buy a soccer ball in a lot of places. You had to go to like Queens to some sports store. So it was something we were all discovering together. And I think that's what I
remember, and I've told this story on the show before, but for you, I don't think I've shared this story with you. But I grew up, my dad was a huge baseball and football fan. I didn't know anything about soccer. And then there was one summer, my family and I were away up in the Catskills for the summer, and there was another family that was there, and they introduced me to soccer. They said, "Do you watch the Cosmos?" And I'm like, "No." Like, they invited me in to watch a game, and I started to watch it, and I was paying attention with the newspapers and seeing the Cosmos were drawing these big crowds. We get home at the end of the summer. The Cosmos had won the soccer bowl. Pelé had his farewell game against Santos at Giant Stadium. And my father, may he rest in peace, who used to work in the Garment Center, comes home one day and says, "Hey, you want to go to the Cosmos game this weekend?" I said, "Dad, stop pulling my leg. It's over. They just won a championship." He goes, "No, they're playing China in an exhibition game. Somebody I work with has 2 extra tickets. Do you want to go?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." And Michael, we went out there, and I think there were about 25,000 people at the game. Canalia scores the only goal for the Cosmos in a 1-1 tie, and I was hooked. My dad and I, we loved it. We went to a bunch of games the following year, went to the Soccer Bowl in '78. My uncle's company had a suite at Giant Stadium. Our family used to start going all the time. It was an unbelievable happening, and it really just, for me, happened by accident over one summer, being introduced to the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true. I think that's what happened with a lot of people. They got into it, and the next thing you know, everybody was into the whole scene. And it really was, you look back on it, it really was a happening, and it was really fun for those of us in the New York area. And, it was an interesting time because, of course, that was the Yankees Renaissance, the late '70s, the Bronx's burning era, and yet you had this, and it was part of the scene as well. And I just loved that.
And now it's coming back in the third reincarnation of the Cosmos. Yeah. And I enjoyed working for them, starting in 2013 for 6-7 years, and incredible thrills doing that. But now they're back. They're going to play in Paterson, New Jersey. And what's interesting about this version of the Cosmos, Michael, is that they're going to stress locality on here. And it's everything about North Jersey, specifically there in Paterson, where they just not rebuilt, but renovated that stadium. Right. It's so historic, and they really want a lot of the people in the community to be a part of that team. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out. I know they're going to have a lot of local talent, but the bottom line is that Cosmos logo is going to be back on the field.
Yeah, and I think it's great. And, that's really soccer's tradition around the world, because, you look at a city like London, they've got like 10 teams. They have the big squads, they have the Arsenals and the Fulhams, and then you also have lower division teams. And I think that's what we're seeing in the U.S. with the USL. It's like seeing great AAA ball. It's really fun, and you can get up close, which is great for people. And I think that's what's hopefully going to work.
And they're going to have, in the USL, they're going to have that promotion relegation, which is something that the last version of the Cosmos, they pushed very hard for, and it wound up going to a lawsuit between the NASL and the United States Soccer Federation. And the USL is going to introduce promotion and relegation, which is exactly what the Cosmos had been fighting for since they left the pitch. I guess it was 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing that my son and I always have this debate with regard, would promotion relegation work in the United States, and would it work in other sports, right? And I give you the caveat, my family are Jets fans, so talking about promotion relegation might be dangerous. But, for those who are not familiar with it, what you basically do in around the world, basically everywhere but the United States, is usually in any league, the top 3 teams, 4 teams in any division, like Major League Baseball, say you would have AAA, the top 3 teams in if there was one AAA league, they would move up to MLB. The bottom 3 MLB teams would go down to AAA. Now, can you imagine the financial repercussions in the United States of that?
Yeah, so good luck explaining to Yankee or Met fans, "Oh, sorry, you're playing AAA this year."
Yeah. But, the thing is, it's so exciting around the world, because those promotion relegation things, that becomes like incredible. I had friends in Germany, and Hamburg just got promoted to the Bundesliga, their major league, and that was like winning the championship in itself. So I think there's excitement there, and we'll see what the USL 1 and 2 do with regard to that. But I'm looking forward anytime you can see the Cosmos play in whatever form.
I think, Michael, what we should do is we should pitch the Cosmos on you and me doing a Cosmos podcast to celebrate their return. What do you think?
I am there, and I think, Peter, after a while, the groundswell of people want to hear what we were like in 1979 would be over.
And I got a good Rolodex of former Cosmos that we could get on. I think we should get Eric Stover, the CEO, on the phone. You and I should have a Zoom with him, and I think we should figure out a way to have a Cosmos podcast.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing. I mean, I was looking at the line. I was trying to explain to someone about the Cosmos. I was saying at one point they had on the field in the late 70s, it was almost everybody had won the World Cup. Everybody was on their national team, but they had Carlos Alberto, who was the captain of the 1970 Brazil team, probably the greatest soccer team of all time. Beckenbauer, who had won the World Cup for Germany. Canali was on the World Cup for Italy. Johan Neeskens, Wim Rijsbergen both played for the Netherlands. The Netherlands, I always say, the Netherlands are the Buffalo Bills of the World Cup. They are. The Bills went to, 4 Super Bowls and lost. Netherlands has been to 3 World Cups and lost in the final. Best team ever not to win the World Cup. And, it was amazing when you got on the field. It was incredible, right? It was like Hall of Fame on the field.
And you saw so many different groups of people in the stands because it became a melting pot. Giant Stadium did, Cosmos Country. It was unbelievable. Michael Gargiulo from NBC4 New York is my guest here on SportsBash, and it was very recently that you had a chance to go cover the FIFA Club World Cup. I know you were at a few of the games at MetLife Stadium, and MetLife Stadium is going to host the real World Cup. Not that this wasn't a real World Cup, but the FIFA World Cup is coming to the United States, Canada, and Mexico next year. MetLife Stadium is going to have a bunch of games, including the final. Tell us about your experience covering the Club World Cup and how excited you are for what's coming next year.
The World Cup it's countdown. My family was talking about summer vacation next year. I went, excuse me, World Cup. So June and a little bit of July, that's out of the question. But here's what I thought was interesting about the Club World Cup, because there was a lot of, questions for and against. Comes on the end of a long season for a lot of these European sides, and they came over here. They hit the hottest weather of the year, except for the hot weather we're having now. But we had an interview on our Today in New York program with a guy, and he was in tears because he said he was from Brazil, and he got to see for the first time Palmeiras, his team. And I was saying this is like a New Yorker living, somewhere in Europe, like in Poland, and all of a sudden the Yankees show up in Warsaw after 30 years. And he was in tears because he said, I never thought I would get to see my team play. To me, nothing beats the World Cup. It's your nation, you're playing. It's the highest thing in soccer. But I think for people like us who are Yankees fans, Mets fans, Knicks fans, Ranger fans, you're not a Ranger fan, Islanders fan.
You didn't have to mention the Rangers, Michael. That's okay.
No, I know. I heard it. But I won't get my Rangers. But I think for them to be able to see their team meant the world to them. I was at the Paris Saint-Germain Real Madrid game, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Kylian Mbappe, one of maybe the top 3 players in the world on the field. I said, I think this is amazing for me to see it. So I thought in that sense it was really good. We're good at the United States at these big events. People got in MetLife, they got out MetLife. It was great. It was handled well. And I think people feel. I talked to the guy who runs Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund, the team that played. I saw them play, and he said, the Americans are really like, you guys were organized. You're really good at this, and I think that bodes well for the World Cup next year. But it was fun. I think the Club World Cup was fun.
It looked great on television, and I'm excited to hopefully get to the World Cup next year, and that's going to be great for all of North America. It's going to be a wonderful event next year. As for the local soccer community, we talked about the Cosmos, but obviously we're right in the middle of Major League Soccer season. The Red Bulls, the NYCFC. NYCFC, a lot of fans getting excited because that stadium is getting built next to Citi Field. So from a local standpoint, I mean, we've got, the Cosmos are coming back. We've got the Red Bulls. We've got NYCFC waiting for their new stadium to get built. I mean, I aside from the boom of the Cosmos in the 70s and the 80s, I don't think soccer has ever been bigger in this area than it is right now.
No, and I think there's two quick things I would say about that, and it was I think, and it's been a couple of years now. The move to the soccer-specific stadiums changed the MLS. I used to go see the New York Metros. Remember the first incarnation of Red Bulls, and they were playing at Giant Stadium. 12,000 people in a 77,000 seat stadium, and it just doesn't work. And now, unfortunately, NYCFC, they're like the last team playing in somebody else's stadium. But like, going to the Red Bull Arena, which you and I have been to together. It's fabulous atmosphere, 27,000 people. Everyone's got a great seat. And the experience really works. And I think that that's made a big difference. I think when NYCFC gets their stadium in Queens, Red Bulls will have Red Bull Arena, or now the Sports Stadium. Sorry. I think it's going to make a world of difference. When I was at that game in Nashville, they have a great stadium there, Geodesic Field, I think it's called. And I think what it is, it's the atmosphere. It works. It's the size is right. It works. And I think that that's what's made it. And also now you have people, the Messi jersey in itself is a phenomenon, Peter. It's like the biggest selling jersey. People know MLS. They know the players now. They're excited. They understand the play. And I think what it is that MLS, Major League Soccer's got great management. They figured out what to do, and they've really expanded to places that are really supporting soccer. Austin, Charlotte, Cincinnati, and I think having NYCFC with the stadium and the Red Bulls, I think that rivalry is going to be even more amazing.
Michael, you brought up Red Bull Arena, which is now Sports Illustrated Stadium, and the Red Bulls, and we actually, as I mentioned at the top, we actually met for the first time in person at a Red Bull game last year. And that brings up, you brought this guy's name up, and I have a bone to pick with him. Sammy Steinlein, who's a longtime dear friend of mine and does some PR work for the Red Bulls. I know you know him very well as well. Where has our invitation been to come to the game this year? I mean, every year he always picks up the phone and says, hey, when's the Schwartz family going to come out to a Red Bulls game? I don't know about the Gargiulo family, but I know the Schwartz family has not received that invitation.
I'm calling him out. I cannot abide by that. I am a objective journalist. I do have to tell you.
I'm only joking, by the way. I love Sammy. He is that.
That's right. He is a fantastic guy. I have to say, Peter, this was the Club World Cup was my first time actually in the press box at MetLife Stadium. It's an interesting experience because, and people know, I guess there's an outside press box and then the one where you're in the glass. For fans of any sport, it's really an interesting atmosphere because you're there watching the game, but which is great if you're watching Jets Giants in December. But you want to be out with the people. I was there with all the pros. Everybody was so professional. I wanted to cheer. So finally I said, hey, the press box is great. I want to just walk outside and watch the game.
Yeah, there was a point, Michael, when the Red Bulls were still the Metro Stars and Giant Stadium, they were doing renovations. So the old press box in Giant Stadium, which was phenomenal, was being replaced by suites, and then they built that big structure that was at the top of the stadium for the press box. So while the Metro Star season was going on in the construction, they actually put the media in the end zone in the lower level, and it was actually cool to be out because you were normally in, as you said, this glass enclosed place. It's very difficult to watch the game in there, and you like to be outside. And that was actually pretty cool for a few months while they were doing the construction. But I get where you were coming from there.
Peter, can I just say one quick thing about the World Cup that I want all our friends and I want Americans to understand? So here's the thing with the World Cup. It's the toughest competition in the world. 8 nations have won the World Cup. 8 nations. And 2 of those nations, England and Spain, won it once. That means everyone else has won it more than once. Brazil 5 times, Italy and Germany 4 times, Argentina now 3 times, France twice, Uruguay twice as well. So I don't think people realize how tough it is. And they'll say stuff like, is the U.S. going to win? Like, as we said, England has won it once, and they got some of the greatest players in the world. It's a really tough competition. And I just hope people cheer our U.S. team, but understand the odds that you're up against.
And I would be remiss, Michael, if I didn't close the interview by mentioning what your real job is, in addition to talking soccer with me. But you do a wonderful job with your crew
Thank you, Peter.
with Today in New York with Darlene and Adele and Maria. And I told you this. My wife and I wake up, watch your show every single morning. And to me, and being in the business for 35 years, you know a thing or two about when you see chemistry, whether it's on the radio or on television or on a podcast. It doesn't matter. But it always appears to me and to my wife as well when we watch you in the morning that it's like a little family. Like the chemistry between the four of you is so good, and it makes it so pleasurable to watch it every morning.
We're not faking. I got to tell you, I'm really super, super lucky. Everybody I work with, it's, they said if you're friendly with people at work, it's great. But if your work colleagues are really your friends, it's really amazing. And I give credit to Maria and to Adele, and of course to Darlene, my partner of 16 years. I think we really get along with each other, and it's not easy at 3 o'clock in the morning when you start at 3 o'clock in the morning, but we really do it. And they're great. They're really great people. We're all from the area. We all have really a commonality of experience. And I think we respect each other. And I think it's like any sports team. If you play with people who make you better, you get better. And that's the way I feel about my friends. And they're real people, and I really love them. And it's great to be with them. And it's great to be with you too, Peter. We're going to do that Cosmos. We're going to do that Cosmos.
We're gonna get the ball rolling on that. Michael, this was so awesome. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. And I hope we can do it again at some point.
I'm here. I've got a selection of jerseys. I've got the World Cup coming. So whenever you want,
the problem is they don't make soccer jerseys in my size. I can never get a soccer jersey in my size.
We're gonna get one for you, Peter, so you can be.
You have to sew 4 of them together, but maybe we'll be able to make it.
No.
Michael Gargiulo from NBC4 New York. Thank you so much, my friend, and we'll talk to you.
Okay, Peter. Great to talk to you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Make sure you tune in to Today in New York with Michael Gargiulo and Darlene Rodriguez and all the crew every weekday morning on Channel 4. Still more to come. When we come back on the show, we're going to give away 2 tickets to Jets training camp practice on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. The ticketbash.com calendar, all kinds of other stuff coming back right after this.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention SportsBash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Welcome back to SportsBash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks again to Michael Gargiulo from Channel 4. It was a great spot there with him talking soccer. And I was serious when I said that. And we're going to reach out to Eric Stover at the Cosmos, because you're not going to find 2 better people to do a Cosmos podcast than me and Michael. I mean, we got to try and figure out a way to make that happen. And we're going to talk to Eric Stover about that and see if we can do it. But thanks so much to Michael Gargiulo. That was awesome talking soccer with him for a few minutes. And again, thanks to everybody here at Collaborate Studios. As you may have heard, there's some construction going on at Governor's. So we thank Chris Gaddam and his staff here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook for welcoming us back here. We did some shows back here back in the day. Very, very nice to be back. I guess I left some stuff here last time I was here. And Chris is going to go find a box for me to go bring some stuff back from when we did the show here for a few days back in the day. It's time to give away 2 tickets to Saturday's Jets training camp practice in Florham Park, New Jersey. We had a bunch of people enter the contest, and thanks to everyone who did enter. And the winner is Jeff Pockrass from New Jersey. So, Jeff, congratulations. You and a guest will be going to see Jets training camp live. I believe it's the green-white scrimmage on Saturday morning at Hofstra. Boy, do I wish the Jets were still at Hofstra. At the Atlantic Health Jets training facility in Florham Park, New Jersey. And I'll actually be going there on Thursday, and I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Let me get to the ticketbash.com sports calendar. If you don't mind me just taking a look, I'm looking for Connor Kalb's email to me that has it. And here we go. This is, let me start that over again. Here we go. It's time for your sporting event calendar. It's brought to you by ticketbash.com. Tonight, the 29th, and tomorrow, the 30th and the 31st. Yankees finish up their 4-game series against the Rays. August 1st, the Mets start their series against the Giants, who are also playing on the 2nd and the 3rd. Also this week, it's a big week if you're a wrestling fan. WWE coming to town. It's a big weekend. Friday is Friday Night SmackDown, August 1st at the Prudential Center. And then the 2-night SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium. The first part of it is on Saturday, August 2nd, and then on Sunday, August 3rd. A lot of great matches on this card. And Monday Night Raw on Monday the 4th at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So a big weekend if you're a wrestling fan here in the metropolitan area. It is time now for the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. And what we have is a 11x14 signed photo of Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson making the catch of the year last year in the National Football League. Check out how amazing was that catch. Remember Odell Beckham Jr. made that initially famous, and all these other wide receivers started copying them. But how about that catch by Garrett Wilson last year? That was absolutely amazing, and that's a great item. Coach's Collectibles, your #1 source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. It's now time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a poll question every Tuesday and Thursday, but that'll be Tuesday and Friday this week on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Do you think there will be a Major League Baseball work stoppage in 2027? Now, we asked this question because the current CBA ends after the 2026 season. And if you saw the reports, Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred went recently to visit the Philadelphia Phillies, came in the clubhouse, and he never said the word per se salary cap, but the way he was talking about the finances got Bryce Harper a little pissed off and told Rob Manfred to get the F out of the Phillies clubhouse. And it became a back and forth thing, and I think it calmed down. But baseball is the only league in the major 4 sports right now that does not have a salary cap. And the players do not want it, but it certainly looks like we are heading towards a collision course after 2026 towards a work stoppage. So you have 2 choices, yes or no. Last time I checked before the show started, over 100 people entered the poll, and about 80-something% of people feel that there will be a work stoppage in 2027. A great event is coming up that my family and I, Marty Lyons Foundation is the official charity of Sports Bash Media, and my family and I are excited to be, and we've done this for a few years now, we are volunteers with the Marty Lyons Foundation, and they put on some great events every single year. And this one, this may be our favorite event that we are a part of every year. It's the Marty Lyons Foundation 4th annual Bowling for Wishes to represent the Vincent Romero, the memory of him. It's the Vincent Romero Memorial Bowling for Wishes event, and it's on August 8th. It's a week from this Friday, and it's at Levittown Lanes in Levittown. It's a wonderful event. You get to bowl. We raise a lot of money for a great cause. There's auctions and raffles and food, and Marty is there, so it's great. Kenny Schroy usually stops by with his wife Susan. Maybe some other surprises as well, but a great night of bowling fun as we raise money for a wonderful cause. Again, that's Friday, August 8th, the 4th annual Vincent Romero Memorial Marty Lyons Foundation Bowling for Wishes event. We'll be there, so we look forward to seeing you. So go to martylyonsfoundation.org to get more information on that event. It's a great event. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. It's a lot of fun next Friday. A reminder, no show this coming Thursday. I'm actually going with my son Jared to Jets training camp on Thursday morning, so we were able to move the show to Friday. Again, we're not sure yet where that show will originate from. It could be back at Governors if everything is done there. It could be here if Chris is not totally disgusted by having us here for another day on Friday. He's smiling right now, so I guess negotiations will be underway if we have to come back here on Friday. But we look forward to it. This has been a wonderful experience being here today. So just stay tuned, and we'll let you know where we'll be and where you can watch the show on Friday. And by the way, speaking of the Jets, big news this morning, Nick Folk is back. Jets have been having some problems going back to last year with their kicking situation. So they've brought back an old friend, Nick Folk, who kicked the Jets into the second round of the playoffs. Remember that big kick he made against the Colts in the playoffs in 2010? And how about this? Nick Folk, last time he was a Jets kicker, Jason Taylor was a member of the Jets. And now, all these years later, Nick Folk is back on the Jets, and Jason Taylor's son, Mason, the Jets draft pick, a tight end, and now Nick Folk is a teammate not only of Jason Taylor, but will be a teammate, assuming, of course, he's the kicker on opening day, will be a teammate of Mason Taylor. So that's pretty cool as well. And on Friday's show, we're going to be joined by Associated Press Jets beat writer Dennis Wazak, good friend of mine. So I hope to see Dennis at practice on Thursday, and then we're going to have him on the show on Friday to talk about the Jets. We're also going to play Stump the Wiz on Friday's show, so don't forget to DM your best sports trivia questions to SportsBash Media X, Instagram, and Facebook. If we pick your question and you stump the Wiz, and he's been on a roll, we haven't been able to give away the Sterile Strawberry autographed 8x10 photo from our friends at Coach's Collectible. So make sure you get a good question, stump the Wiz, and if we pick your question and you do that, you get that autographed 8x10 Darryl Strawberry autographed photo from our friends at Coach's Collectible. Again, yesterday I get the news that the studios at Governor's Comedy Club will be closed because of construction. But you don't freak out. You know, these things happen once in a while. You got to kind of just roll with the punches. And we pick up the phone. We call Chris Gannon here at Collaborate Studios, and he said, welcome, come on in. Come on back. Plenty of parking, great, a lot of room here and everything. And don't forget to take your stuff home with you that you left here last time. So we're very, very happy that Chris Gannon welcomed us back here at Collaborate Studios. And we can't thank them enough, but we will hopefully, I knew that was not going to sound right. It's not that we don't like coming here, but we're going to see when we get back to Governor's, which is our home. But we like being here at our home away from home as well. Maybe we'll be here Friday. Maybe we won't. We don't know yet. But thanks to Chris and everybody here at Collaborate Studios. Thank you so much, my friend, for having us here. Also, thanks to Connor Kalb and Griffin Shapiro. Tony Walker back at Governor's. We hope he's enjoying his day off because the place is closed. And don't worry, if you're used to watching the show on Governor's Comedy Club podcast, they are going to load the show on the Facebook page and YouTube a little bit later on today. And then just stay tuned to see where we are next week. Sports Bash is presented by Ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For everyone with the show, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Back with you on Friday at 1 o'clock.